Are your beliefs about friendship holding you back? Let's be real, friendship in adulthood can feel complicated. Maybe you've thought everybody already has their friends, or I'm the only person who's still trying to find a new friend, it's too late. Well, those are just two of the myths that we need to talk about today. We're going to discuss why beliefs like those and a lot of others might be holding you back, and uncover the truth about what it really takes to create and sustain meaningful friendships as adults. Welcome to the Creating Opportunities podcast. This is a place where we help smart, ambitious professionals create better relationships for success. And why? Because people matter. They're messy, but they make life better and they matter. And I am your host, Cassandra. I am a speaker, trainer, an iced coffee lover. It's important you know that. And I am here to help you make deeper connections. So let's get into it. Okay, so jumping straight into these myths. Myth number one, everybody already has their friends. Now, I'll be honest, with a lot of myths or commonly held beliefs around friendship, there is some truth, but it's not all true. So, do a lot of people have their friends already? I don't even know if I can say that. Do some people already have their group? Yes, but not everybody. Honestly, I was talking with a friend who has lived here in Phoenix her whole life. She has a great friend group. Her friends and their husbands are friends with her husband. Like, it all intersects together in her life. And she said, she's like, honestly, I think one of the biggest problems for making friends as adults is everyone already has their friends. Like, I have my group. And I went, it's not completely true. You do already have your group, but that doesn't mean everyone does. I think there's a ton of people who have moved. If you've moved over the age of like 28, it gets harder to make friends because there are people who do have their groups, etc., but you're not the only person who has moved. So there are other people looking for friends. And I pointed out to her, I might not be part of your main friend group, but we are friends, and so you made room for me. So there are places where you can still fit in. But I do want to acknowledge that yes, there is like a half truth to this, which is why beliefs like this are so easy to hold on to, because there is a little truth in them, and then we take that and twist it and make it bigger than it really is. And here's the thing. Even if those people say, oh, everybody already has their friends, well, she made room for me. And research shows people are searching for close friends, right? The loneliness epidemic is higher than ever. So that means there are other people out there who want friends. I think one piece of this is that because in our heads we're going, oh, well, they already have their friends, they don't need me. We assume we don't need to reach out. We assume rejection before we even ask. And so what I would encourage you to do is if you meet someone new that seems like they already have their friends, or if this is kind of the mindset you've been going along with in general, start reaching out. Let people decide, yes, I want to join in, or no, I don't. We select for people a lot. I used to talk about this with job searching too. We wouldn't apply for jobs because we assume, oh, they're going to reject me. So like we're rejecting ourselves so they can't reject us. We do the same thing in friendships. So start reaching out anyways and just say like, hey, do you want to get coffee one day? Or hey, I'm getting a group of people together to go on a hike. Like, try it anyway. Honestly, just start embracing the concept of connection. I think I maybe talked about this before, but if you have an open energy, it will start drawing people. But as we also talked about last week, you do often have to go first. So start reaching out. Now, I should say before we move on to myth 2, will you let me know in the comments, whether on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, get it together, add comments. Let me know which of these myths has been the one that kind of made you go, ooh, that's the one I keep believing, and how, just let me know which one resonates with you. Myth number 2, it's too late to start. Kind of goes along with number 1 of everyone already has their friends. It's too late. I'm too set in my ways. I actually saw someone comment something similar to this the other day. I'm too old. There's not time for this anymore. It's never too late. You could meet someone tomorrow. Here's what I think is interesting. In romantic relationships, we romanticize this idea of like, tomorrow you could bump into the person to be your husband or wife or the love of your life. You never know when they're around the corner. But we don't do the same thing with friendships. We don't do the same thing with professional opportunities. Somehow that idea of that amazing opportunity is only romanticized and held for romantic relationships. And I understand it is a romanticized idea, but it's possible anywhere else too. So in your work relationships, in your friendship circles, it's possible. So it's never too late. Now, I think with the it's too late to start, the real thing behind it is I'm tired of trying. And believe me, that I get. Let me tell you, as someone who has tried again, if you're tired of trying, I completely understand. Next week, I'm gonna share with you some things I did this past year that helped me make friends that maybe could work for you too, or you can try them on for size. But here's what I would tell you overall. If you are tired of trying, I deeply empathize, but also, if we don't try, we're home alone. And I don't wanna be home alone for the rest of time. So try again. And honestly, here's something with the it's too late to find friends. Maybe we're looking in the wrong age groups. Maybe your lifestyle fits someone who's older for where you live. Maybe for your lifestyle, it fits someone younger than everyone else your age. So maybe we need to start getting over age and start looking in different pockets of people for who could be more readily available to be friends with you at this stage in your life, because age and stage don't always match up. I know I talk about church stuff a lot, but there used to be like Sunday school classes for adults based off ages and stages, and they always put the two things together. And it's like, we now live in a world where your age does not mean you're at the same stage as everyone else your age, so maybe we need to be looking by stage and not age, because they no longer go together. So I think one of the keys to getting over this myth and trying again in a way that maybe isn't as difficult is keep trying to find new environments that work for you. Try joining a book club. Try joining a hiking group. Volunteer somewhere more than once. Volunteer somewhere where you're showing up every Friday afternoon or something like that. And honestly, that's the thing, is try these things and then keep showing up. I believe I talked about it before, but it takes longer now. So you have to show up for a while, and then you have to be willing to be the one to say hi. Y'all, get ready for myths 3 and 4. These are the two that I think I see more than anything else. Myth number 3, I believe it's subconscious. Friendship has to be instant. I don't think people out loud, if I said, do you think friendship has to be instant? That you meet somebody and you're instant friends. I don't think you or anyone would go, oh yes, it always has to be instant. I think you would meet me with, no, that's not true. Friendships build over time. But again, if you go back to what we talked about in the first episode in this series on how to make friends as adults, we live in a world where everything is customized to us, and now when we don't hit it off right away, we don't have as high a threshold, as high a tolerance to take the time to meet with someone again, to try again, and build towards that friendship. Not to mention, television and movies have romanticized romanticize is really the buzzword of this podcast episode, and I didn't mean for it to be, but television and movies have romanticized this idea of instant friendships. There's actually research out there that says it takes 200 hours of quality time to move from acquaintance to close friend. Now think about it. We used to have a lot more activities that we did with someone in person to kind of do that quickly, and now we don't see people as often and as regularly. So it's making that 200 hours span even longer. But either way, whether it is somebody that you see a lot, or it's somebody that you see once a week for 30 minutes, or you bump into in the school line, whatever it is, just know 200 hours to go from acquaintance to close friend. And then somewhere in between there, right? Not everyone has to be your close friend, but friend. Somewhere in between acquaintance to close friend, let's say 100 hours, just friend. I honestly think getting people to warm up to you too just takes more now. I can't remember if I already told this story, so if I did, I'm sorry. But 2 years ago, I joined Weight Watchers because one of my goals was I want to start losing weight. And my mom brought it up to me. She's like, why don't you go to a meeting version, not the online only one, because you used to do that and you liked it and you want to meet people. And I thought, well, it would be something I could go to once a week. And so I started showing up every week. I committed to going to the same meeting. I'd sit in the same spot. Most of the people who go to that meeting show up, I would say 3 out of 4 times a month. So I would see the same people, and I would come in, and as I came in and sat down, I'd say good morning to my area, and they'd kind of get off their phone for 2 seconds, go morning, and then go back to their phone. And it took 6 months of saying good morning and kind of, you know, oh, I like your nails. Thank you. They go back to their world. No one would really open up. And then one day I wore my hiking boots because I was going to go hike after. And the woman in front of me went, oh, do you hike? And all of a sudden we had a conversation and now there's an opening. I went, oh my gosh, I did it. I got her to open up. And then the woman behind me and I started talking. It just took a really long time. It takes longer now. Everyone is so guarded. We are all more comfortable staring at our phones than putting them down to try and start a conversation with someone around us. So it takes longer, but it's worth the effort. If you came with me to a Weight Watchers meeting now, you would have no idea the first 6 months were the way they were. You would have no idea, okay? Somebody complimented me the other week about like the friendliness I bring to the room. 2 different people have said, oh, I want to come sit over here. You guys look like you're having fun. I went, you can come sit with us. I think I did share that part before. Y'all, that's 2 years later. The first 6 months was me just showing up and saying hi. Now here's the thing. Some of you might go, oh my gosh, I don't want to wait 6 months. But if you don't work on it now, 6 months from now, you'll still be alone in your house. If I hadn't shown up every week, 6 months later, I would still be alone and not have this fun thing to look forward to on Saturday mornings. So it's worth trying it. So now obviously Weight Watchers is an extremely specific example to use, but again, can you volunteer somewhere? Is there a lunch club you can join? Can you become a member of your ERG at work or an association? Anything that you can start showing up to on some sort of regular basis to help build the momentum of those 200 hours. But no, friendship is not going to be instant. Okay, myth number 4. This is another one that I think people go, no, that's not true. But look at your actions. Look at the actions of people around you. Friendship should always be easy or fun. Again, we live in a world where there's not much friction in what we consume, in what we take in on our day-to-day, in our selfish lifestyles where we choose exactly what we want, when we want it, how we want it. I mean, I was thinking about this too with vacations. Like, you used to go on vacation and you just dealt with whatever coffee was in the hotel. Now people like find out ahead, is it a Keurig or an espresso? And they bring their own specific pods. Or we Instacart to our room exactly what we want to have in our room. Before you just kind of went, they don't have that here, and you just dealt with it because you were on vacation. I hope that example makes sense, but just we live so customized in so many different ways that again, the fact that people are messy, that people are difficult, that things aren't always fun is harder for us. And so I think while no one would say it out loud, I see a lot of people going, oh, I don't want to be friends with people because they're just a lot, or like they have baggage. And there are points where people do kind of word vomit too much at the beginning. But there are also times where I hear people say things like, oh, I don't let difficult people into my life, or I don't let toxic people in. And I want to know what toxic is. Because here's the thing, we all go through hard times. And maybe that person isn't toxic, they're just going through a really hard time and they need this thing called support and care. And that's what friendships are about. And in those moments, they might not be as fun and upbeat as usual, but that's what friendship is for, to be the person who sits there and goes to lunch and hears their concerns and hears them again the next week, etc., while they're going through this time, knowing that they're going to be there for you too. But what I'm seeing more and more is people walking away when this happens. And I know this isn't just in my head. I saw there was a whole TikTok trend that went around like over a year ago of these Gen Z kids going, I think I protected my peace into loneliness, or I protected my peace into having no plans on a Friday night. Like, oops, I think I went too far. So this idea of setting boundaries, of being like, no, I'm protecting my peace. Like, you're a lot for me right now. And so I'm just gonna back off and you can deal with you. That's not caring for another human being. And that's how you wind up alone in certain situations. I'm not trying to blame. I'm saying this is one of those areas we got to look at and go, have I built the walls too high? Have I protected my peace that I'm expecting people to only be fun all the time or to only bring me joy, when there are times where relationships should be more than that, right? Whether friendship or romantic, it's not always about fun and joy. It's about being there for each other. So remember, friendships are about mutual care, and being there for someone when they're in their lows creates deeper trust, which means that when you face challenges, they'll be there for you. I know there were times in my life where I was a difficult friend for some of my friends. I was depressed, I was having a hard time, and I know they had to sit through a lot of not that I was a bummer all the time, this is 10 plus years ago, but I know they had to sit through some conversations that were like, okay, Cassie, you gotta get over this, but they stuck by me, and that meant a lot to me. And so when they went through stuff, of course, I wanted to be there for them too. So I think it's just something to look at and go, ooh, am I being the caring friend that I want? Now with this too, I've been talking about it more on a deeper level, but in all honesty, I think this goes to another myth of this, that friendships shouldn't take work. Now I did say friendships should be easy and fun. I guess this would be the other part of should be easy. There are people I know who say, oh, I really want friends, but I want the kind of friend who it's okay if I don't text you back, or, I'm not really great at making plans. Or in all honesty, I've had people just say, I really want friends. I'm really looking to make friends. And I've invited them to stuff, and they'll come, and I message them, and they never text and say, hey, I thought of you today, or hey, how are things going, or anything like that. And I can kind of see why friendship's not really working out for you. You're not trying. Now, maybe they just don't like me. I'll throw it out there. But I don't think that's the case. They're not putting any work into building friendships. And just like people now on the dating side are having to put work into getting on the apps and going on dates and seeing what works out, if you want friends, you have to put some work into it. Not tons of work, but we have to put work into any relationship. So that's a part of this too. Now I want to make it really clear as we kind of land the plane here that I am not blaming anyone here. I'm not trying to shame you in any way, but I think we have to look at what's holding us back. If we want to make friends, we all need to look at have I not been putting the work into it that I probably should? Have I been maybe focused too much on making excuses like everyone has their friends already? Let me regroup, let me try again. And if you want help with that, I actually have a set of templates called From Hello to Hello Again about how to connect and re-engage with people. It's specifically used for LinkedIn, but honestly, you can copy paste this message and send it to someone that you haven't talked to in 5 years and try and re-engage that friendship little by little. So if you want to check those out, you can get a link to it in the description box below or in the show notes. And again, let me know if any of these resonated with you, if you went, oof, that's the one that hit me, and how you want to change it. Next week, I will be sharing with you the 3 things I did last year that helped me make friends. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't checked out any of the other episodes, you can see them here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.